All right, let's talk about a huge shift that's happening for developers right now. See, we're not just writing code for predictable systems anymore. We're building entire toolkits for intelligent AI agents, agents that can actually think for themselves. And the quality of those tools, it's everything. If you get it right, the agent absolutely flies. But if you get it wrong, it just fails. So let's get into how to build them the right way. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to really unpack this new paradigm. Then, we'll walk through a super practical 3-step loop for building and improving your tools. We'll get into how to properly evaluate them, cover 5 key principles for making truly high-quality tools, and finally, we'll talk a little bit about what all this means for the future. Okay, so first things first, we really need to wrap our heads around the core idea here. Building for AI agents isn't just, a small update to how we do things. It's a completely different way of thinking about development. This slide just gets right to the heart of it. On the left, that's the world we're all used to, deterministic code. You call get weather NYC, and it does the exact same thing, every single time. Predictable. But on the right, that's the agent's world. It's non-deterministic. You ask, should I bring an umbrella? And suddenly it has choices. It might call a tool, or ask you where you are, or maybe just answer from its own knowledge. That independence, that agency, is exactly what our tools have to be designed for. And that brings us to a really crucial design principle. We have to build tools that are basically ergonomic for an AI to use. And here's the wild part. A tool that's clear, direct, and unambiguous for an agent often ends up being the most intuitive one for a human developer too. Turns out, great design is kind of a universal language.
Okay, so theory's great, but what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the answer is this iterative development loop. It's a continuous cycle of creating and refining that's built specifically for these agent tools. Here's the breakdown. Step 1, you build a prototype. Just get something working. Step 2, you run a systematic evaluation to see how it actually performs. And step 3, this is the real game changer. You collaborate with an AI to analyze the results and suggest improvements. Think about that. You're using the agent to help you build better tools for itself. It's this incredible feedback loop. Build, measure, refine, and then you do it all over again.
Now that second step, evaluation, it is absolutely critical. And I mean it. Simple little unit tests just aren't going to cut it here. We need to measure how these tools perform on complex, messy, real-world tasks to truly understand if they're any good. Easy. To evaluate these things properly, you need the right kind of test. A weak task is just too simple, like schedule a meeting with this email address. Any agent can handle that. But a strong task? Now that's multifaceted. It forces the agent to figure out who Jane is, go find a document from a previous meeting, and book a physical room. That's how you really find the weak spots, the breaking points in your tool set. I mean, think about a task like this one. Prepare a retention offer. An agent can't solve this with just one action. No way. It's got to use a bunch of different tools to research the customer's history, analyze past offers, assess any risks. It requires a whole chain of reasoning and a series of tool calls. This is the gold standard for evaluation. And when you run these big, complex tests, success isn't just a simple yes or no. You're looking for the whole story. Of course, accuracy is king. Did it actually get the right answer? But you also have to track efficiency. How long did it take? How many tools did it have to call? How many tokens did it burn through? And critically, how many times did it mess up? Each one of these metrics tells a different part of the story. All right, so as you go through this process, this cycle of building and testing and refining, some really clear principles start to pop up for what makes a great tool. So let's look at 5 of the most important ones. First up, fight the urge to create a tool for every single little API endpoint. Instead, you want to consolidate them. So rather than having separate tools for listing users and listing events and creating an event, you build one single powerful schedule event tool that actually mirrors a complete real-world workflow. It's just so much more efficient for the agent. Principle number 2, be super clear with your naming. As these agents get access to hundreds of tools, confusion becomes a real risk. So namespacing, just adding a simple prefix like Asana or Jira, helps the agent instantly figure out which tool is which. It's a simple trick, but it gives the agent crucial context right away. Principle 3 is all about being concise. You got to think of an agent's context window as precious, expensive real estate. A response that's just filled with a bunch of low-level technical IDs, that's just noise. What you want to do is return only the meaningful, human-readable stuff.
It's all about boosting that signal and killing the static.
And the impact here, it's just staggering. I mean, look at that. In this one example, that simple change slashed the token count by 2/3. We're not talking about a tiny little optimization. That is massive. It saves money, it speeds up performance, and most importantly, it frees up the agent's limited thinking space so it can focus on more complex reasoning. Next up, your errors should be teachers. An unhelpful error like invalid input just tells the agent, you failed. That's it. But a helpful error, it explains why it failed and then gives a concrete example of how to get it right next time. It's like you're steering the agent towards the correct way to use the tool, all without any manual intervention.
And finally, we have principle number 5. And honestly, this might be the single biggest lever you can pull to improve performance. Perfect your tool descriptions. The best way to think about it is this. Imagine you're explaining the tool to a new human hire on your team. You'd be explicit, you'd define any jargon, you wouldn't leave any room for confusion. That description is your main instruction manual for the agent, so you have to make it crystal clear.
So when you put all of this together, what does it all add up to? Well, it points to a future where our tools and our agents are basically improving together in this constant feedback loop, a kind of coevolution. At the end of the day, the core takeaway is this. We have to fundamentally shift how we think as developers. We've got to move beyond the comfort of those rigid, predictable patterns and really learn how to design for this messy, non-deterministic world, a world where our software is collaborating with intelligent agents, not just commanding them. And that leaves us with one final big question. The AI agents that we're building for today, they are only going to get smarter and more capable. The real question is, will our tools and our approach to building them evolve and improve right alongside them?